Hello, this is Simming Nate recording my very first video. If you don't know, I post on Twitter under the name Simming Nate about my beloved family, the Schneiders, using the hashtag Schneider Family History. And people often ask me how they can catch up on my legacy and read my Sims stories, and the best I can offer is to say, search the hashtag, click latest, and scroll all the way back to the beginning, which, by the way, I timed it and takes about 3 minutes. But that's not always the most convenient thing for people to do, and I wish there was a better way. So I've decided to start making a few videos, and we'll see what happens from here. My friend Genova Sims has given me a lot of encouragement, and I'd like to thank her and encourage you to follow her if you don't. That's Genova Sims on Twitter and many other places, YouTube, Tumblr, etc. She has a great series called The Solar System Legacy, and that really inspired me to do this. So I want to start off this first video using my family echo family tree to begin telling you just a very brief overview of my family, the Schneiders. So it all began with brother and sister, Ezekiel Schneider and Evelita Schneider. They moved to Willow Creek once their parents passed away, and they inherited their family holiday home. For some reason, which I hadn't decided, they couldn't stay in their city dwelling. They had to move to the slightly more countryside-ish rural Willow Creek, which Ezekiel loved. Evelita wasn't so happy. Their parents were Rosanna and Abe, who never existed, but since their existence and demise brought about the beginning of this legacy, I thought I may as well include them in the family tree. So as he was the older sibling, let's investigate Ezekiel's branch of the family tree. He fell in love with a married Jamari, who was their postman, mailman. Once they got married, Jamari quit his job and became a very successful chef. Ezekiel, meanwhile, made a living from growing and selling fruit and veg in their garden. Their first child was Allegra. They adopted her when she was a baby, and then when Allegra was a teenager, they adopted Joshua. Allegra fell in love with an older man, Armin. They were both very intellectual. Allegra was a scientist, Armin worked in politics. They made a great couple. They fell in love, and they had one daughter, Clothy Schneider Kerr, who I adore. She's great. Armin then subsequently passed away, as we know in this game. Naturally, the older Sims are not really designed to stick around for too long. This was before I was altering the ages to better suit my gameplay, so Armin died, and that was terribly sad, but the silver lining, well, not so much a silver lining, but the positive that came out of that was that Allegra discovered she was pregnant with triplets. And the triplets were Ophelia, Angelica, and Jamie. Ophelia here met Robbie Worley. He was also a chef like her grandfather. They fell in love. Angelica and her childhood sweetheart Martha fell in love. And Jamie, at first, had a very brief dalliance, a one-night stand with Jacinta, who is actually Alex Moyer, who I didn't realize everyone hated. I thought she was very pretty, so I picked her up and I edited her, and I put her back in my game as Jacinta Moyer, who was a sort of drifter type character. She got pregnant from their one-night stand and had a son called Sage, who she kept from Jamie for many years, but that's a story for another time. Jamie then met and fell in love with Cora, who was a friend of his sister Clothild. She was one of Clothild's tenants. After Armin died and as the children grew up, Allegra met Finn Berkeley and they fell in love. They had quite a long relationship. He lived with her and the children in their house, and they had a great relationship. Allegra eventually passed away, which was a terrible shame because she was one of my favourite Sims. But as is life, and as is Sims. And after that happened, Ophelia and Finn had a little moment of weakness in their grief, and they ended up in bed together. Only once, but once is all it takes. And they had a son, Vincent, which sent shockwaves through the family, quite frankly. People were very upset about it, including, and of course, Ophelia's partner, and at that time fiance, Robbie. They broke off their engagement, but eventually reconciled. Robbie really accepted Vincent as his son. He is a lovely man, a brilliant father, and an amazing partner. He accepted Vincent as his son. Once they were married, Vincent even took their surname, Robbie's surname, which now his mother and siblings, Paris and Diana, have, Worley. So, and as for Finn, he sort of disappeared. We'll get into that. Moving on to Angelica and Martha. They always knew they wanted children. They were always considering who to ask, and eventually the man they did ask was their best friend, Ambrose Flores. And so he donated his biological material to them and mixed it with Martha's own egg. And they had Scully Schneider, who is a great sim. Super cool, an amazing face, really striking. Been posting a lot about her on Twitter recently. I am very, very into her. Scully sees Martha and Angelica as her parents, and Ambrose, she knows that's where half of her DNA came from, but she sees him as an uncle, an older friend, a paternal figure, but not exactly a father. As far as she is concerned, she doesn't have a father. She has two mothers and several parents, perhaps. Maybe she sees it that way. So then Jamie and Cora, together they had twins quite late in life, into their adulthood. They had Sybil and Christopher, who I haven't actually posted about having aged up to children yet, but as you can see, they are a really gorgeous pair of twins. Right, so that's Ezekiel's branch. Let's head over to Evelita's, which is, to me, it's more dynamic. And so it began with Evelita having a baby with her on-off, very unreliable boyfriend, Tevin Bauer, who for a long time I believed was a pre-made, but he isn't. He's just a game-generated sim. But he was very good looking, terrible boyfriend, terrible father, completely disinterested in both her and their son Aldous, who was lovely, super close to his cousin Allegra. And he got with Shirin, who was one of Allegra's best friends, along with, quick journey back over to Ezekiel and Jamari's branch, and we'll just go to their son Joshua, who fell in love with Charlie Carrillo, who, along with Shoshana Drew and Shirin Felder, were Allegra's best friends. They were four best friends for many years. So it was actually really lovely for Allegra when her brother fell in love with one of her best friends. But previous to Joshua and Charlie becoming an item, Charlie and one of his best friends, Shoshana, they were headed towards middle age. They wanted kids, so they decided to platonically have a child, and their child was Joaquin, who is another sim I really love. He's absolutely beautiful, just an incredibly handsome born-in-game sim. Joaquin is now married to Adriel, and Adriel is the twin of this lovely lady, Claudia, who is one of Clothilde's current tenants. Clothilde took over the tenancy of this, the landlady position of this house where she now lives and presides over from Shoshana Drew. The house was where Shoshana, Charlie, and Shirin all lived as young adults until they moved in with their respective partners. So as I said, Aldous was very close to his cousin Allegra, Through her, he met Shirin, and they fell in love. I did not expect that. I had planned for Aldous to be a player and potentially sleep with Charlie, Shoshana, and Shirin. But the game had other ideas, and they fell in love, and Shirin fell pregnant with Zeke. Zeke grew up to marry his childhood sweetheart, Sydney, who is the sister of Martha Crabtree. Sydney is the older sister of Martha Crabtree, who is Angelica's partner and Scully's mother. These are their parents, Alice and Angus, who are now both deceased. Zeke and Sydney had 2 children. Their first child was Lola Peach Schneider. Absolutely adore her. She is so lovely, and as you can see, incredibly gorgeous. What's happening here? As you can see, incredibly gorgeous. Look at that face. Just lovely. Their other child was a son, Will Mouse, who is now currently in a relationship with Ambrose Flores. They're a fantastic couple. A little bit of drama surrounding them, we'll get into that another time. Aldous and Shirin had another child, Evelyn, a lot later in their life as well. She was a bit of a surprise. She is just fabulous. I have, it's quite a statement, but I've never loved a sim quite like I love Evelyn. I really haven't. And she seemed very popular on Twitter as well. Evelyn and Ambrose, these two. Twitter really likes them. Evelyn is now in a relationship with Sonny Shah, who has a child, Lexi, from his brief romance with Lexi Curtis, who died in childbirth. Very tragic, but great for the story. So Aldous has a younger sister. After Evelita broke up with Tevin, moved on with her life with Aldous, she met Jimi Hendrickson, who was a stand-up comedian. They'd been friends for a while, and Jimmy had always been in love with Evelita. She finally saw him and fell in love herself. Together they had a daughter, Colette. Oh, Colette. What a sim. What a complex sim Colette is. Just so much depth to this woman, and I truly, truly love her. She has had a really complicated, difficult life. And I've just loved watching her journey. She's become this incredible mother, grandmother, and really matriarch of the entire family and of my entire save. I feel like she's the representative for me in the game. So she began her romantic life with Ennio Ledare, who was a very famous influencer around the time of her youth. So she was enamored by him, met him on a night out, and he happily took advantage of her being such a fan. They were married, and she became pregnant with a Remy. It became clear quite early on that he was not a very nice man, Ennio, and this was further proven when he had an affair on Colette with Masami, who he met when she was a waitress. Colette found out and she left him. She went to live with her brother and his family. Thank goodness. Ennio also had a child with Masami. They were married as well. Their child is Ennio Jr. E.J. Ledare, and he then left Masami for another younger woman, Olenka, and they had a child, Axel. There's more there, but we don't need to do that now. Colette's son Remy, as a teenager, had a child with this lady Sherilyn, and their child was Bobby, another sim who I'm really interested in. I think she's a great character. Sherilyn's family, she has 2 parents, she has a brother who also has a partner, and they've had a baby recently. They were teenagers too, bit of a family trait. And her sister, now passed away, is the woman who Sonny had a child with. Sonny and Evelyn are now together, and that's how that all gets tied up in a nice little circle. So Colette then met Micah, who is the younger brother of Finn Berkeley, Allegra's partner, and the man who had a child with Allegra's daughter after Allegra passed. But Micah is also a bit of a player. Well, Finn wasn't a player, he just made a mistake, but Micah was a player, and previous to his relationship with Colette, he had a one-night stand with Stella McCormick. Stella McCormick was originally Stella Ladair. Yes, Stella and Ennio are brother and sister, and with her, he had Angel and Luke, a pair of twins. They have the surname of Stella and her husband Rick, their stepfather. This is their half-sister. That caused some problems, but they made it through, and Micah and Colette have been together for a very long time, and they have two children of their own, Maggie and Orson. Very, very gorgeous children. I love them. We don't see much of Angel. She's very much her mother's daughter, and Luke has found some peace and comfort in spending time with his father and his family, and really sees himself as a Berkeley rather than a McCormick or a Ladair. Is that it? I think it might be. I don't think there's too much else to get into right now. I don't want to make this too long. So I think that is it for today. That is it for video number 1. I hope that has helped to clarify some things if you were confused about my family, because there's a lot of history there, and there's a lot of depth, a lot of relationships, a lot of twists and turns, and we can get more into those in another video. But for now, I just want to say thank you so much for watching and for listening. And this is my first video. It's not going to be perfect, but I just wanted to do it and see what everybody thought. Thank you so much for watching, for listening. Thank you for supporting me on Twitter. I really appreciate all the friends I've made on there, and the people who said that me making videos would be a good idea, the people who want to know more about my Sims. I'm so touched every time somebody expresses interest in them, because I could talk about them forever, and knowing that there are some people out there who would happily listen, it warms my heart and keeps me going. I've loved Sims for a very long time, and I'm so glad to finally be able to share my love for them in this way. So I'll say it once more. Thank you for watching, for sticking around. It'd be great if you could like this video or comment or subscribe, because hopefully there will be more, and I will see you in the next one. Please follow me on Twitter if you don't already, and if you want to. If you don't want to, don't. I'm Simming Nate on there. Schneider Family History, and this is me signing out. Have a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.